Steps with Listen to Your Inner You. Thank you for watching. Hope you're subscribing. Let us get right into it. I wanted to start talking a little bit slower and more clear in my videos because I have a lot of international viewers and they often can't keep up with, I often can't keep up with when I start mumbling because I talk so fast. My mom yells at me for that all the time, my whole life. I just get so excited I have to share it. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope that your manifesting is going well. And if not, I hope my videos can help you. Today, I wanted to talk about the different types of focus work, maybe pros and cons. I don't see why there's any cons, and living in the end. What I wanted to start with is that when you do focus work, no matter how you do focus work, scripting, affirmations, visualizations, I don't care how you do it. That is living in the end. That is the moment where you're living in the end, not by pretending in your actual 3D world that you're cooking for two, you're buying groceries for two when you're not even with the person. Don't pretend. Pretending is not acting as if. That is actually not a correctly or full statement. It is not acting as if. Who came up with that? I don't know. But acting as if is pretending, and that is keeping you in resistance and attachment. So that is counterproductive. So, living in the end is when you are doing focus work, because during focus work, you're choosing to believe or feel that you already have it. So how I do focus work, this is not how you have to do it. How I do focus work, I like to visualize. I'm a very visual person, super visual. When you talk to me, there's a whole movie playing in my head. Sometimes I give slower responses because the movie's playing out and I have to process it, and sometimes the movie goes in certain directions. But I'm super visual. I'm a great visualizer. I actually have a bachelor in fine arts, photography and graphic design, because I'm so visual and I imagined things and I knew exactly what it was going to look like, and I got it done. So, types of visualization or focus work. For me, everything is visualizing because that's how I call it. But focus work can be scripting. I have tons of clients who love scripting. I don't use scripting very often. I sometimes write it down, and all I do then is I intend to have this. Or I just say I want this. There's nothing wrong with saying I want. It doesn't mean that you're in lack. It's the energy behind it. I can just make a statement and say I want it. Meh, who cares? Focus work can be scripting. Focus work can be affirmations. Focus work can be visualizations. I don't know what else is there. Those are the main ones that I deal with. And either one of those is completely okay. It is okay to focus in whatever way you want to. All I'm asking is don't affirmation loop. Don't script loop. Don't visualize loop. Because that means you're only doing focus work. You're ignoring all the other steps. And for manifesting, deliberate manifesting, and natural manifesting, there is a process. And the process is focus work, release resistance, detach. The way I've learned it was two places in those. It's a 4-step process. There's 2 places in there where we can detach and should and want to detach. Step 2 and 4. Step 1, focus work. Step 2, do you believe it's possible? Step 3, release resistance. Step 4, I want it, I don't need it, which is detaching from the manifestation itself. Step 2 is more about detaching from the process. That's really important, especially the better you are at manifesting, the more you want to really remember to detach, because we get attached so much easier. When we don't know that it works, oh my God, it feels so easy and we can probably manifest like this. But the better we get at deliberate manifesting, the easier it is to get attached. And there's 2 places to be attached in, and it's step 2 and 4. Again, different types of focus work though, I'm going to stick with affirmations, scripting, and visualizing. And it doesn't matter which one you use, however you manifest. Stay away from subliminals is my suggestion, because subliminals are the same as affirmation looping. I've tried affirmation looping, and what happened was I was super attached. I had tons of resistance because what happens, and I've gotten that feedback from a lot of clients who come from affirmation coaches, affirmation looping coaches, and they're really frustrated. So we end up being really frustrated and upset because frustrated, upset, feeling stuck, going in circles, those are all side effects of resistance and or attachment. And both of those happen very naturally because as soon as we affirm something and believe that it's possible that we already have it, right? It brings up resistance. Focus work, step 1, brings up resistance. It's supposed to do that. It is supposed to bring up resistance and attachment. So accept that you have resistance, accept that you're attached because those are natural steps, completely natural. They also happen when you undeliberately manifest on an everyday basis. We just don't put as much effort in, so it's not as noticeable, but the steps are the same in deliberate and undeliberate manifesting. When you do it deliberately, it's just more obvious because you're concentrating. So as soon as you start focusing on something deliberately, you might already be attached or might get attached. So you want to make sure you're detaching. You want to make sure you're releasing resistance. And that's the danger of affirmation looping or only scripting or only visualizing is that you're only doing step 1 and maybe sometimes step 4 where you say, I want it, I don't need it. But if you ignore step 2 and 3, you're going to feel worse. And that's what the affirmation looping does. You're affirming, and then you feel crappier, so you affirm more, and you feel crappier, and you affirm more. And instead of actually finding and releasing the resistance and then detaching from it all. Yes, we're supposed to focus a lot, right? When we deliberately manifest, but you're not supposed to only do that. That's what I hate about these affirmation looping coaches. And then they tell my clients, you're doing it wrong, affirm harder. You're doing it wrong, affirm harder. What is wrong with you? That's not how you manifest. They might be amazing manifestors because they probably are, but they sure as hell don't know how to fucking teach it. So how you want to manifest is step 1, 2, 3, 4. That is what works. I know this because this is how I manifest everything. And I've manifested tons of really amazing things, big, small, medium, don't care. And all of my clients feel better within one session, because we're actually now releasing resistance and starting to detach. And that feels so good to the mind. It feels soothing to actually address those things and not just affirm, or script, or visualize, whatever, right? So you don't want to just do focus work because it will keep you in resistance and attached. And those would make you feel worse. Other than that, I don't care if you use affirmations because I use affirmations. I teach affirmations. I just don't teach affirmation looping. I'm a big advocate and against it. All of my clients usually come from affirmation looping coaches. And again, they usually feel better within one session of doing it this way. Because the way I teach manifesting is how I learned it, how I got my expect, how I got my house paid off, how I got my vehicle paid off, how I got a lot of things paid off and a lot of things manifested in my life. And it works and it feels good. It doesn't just work, it actually feels good. I had a client the other day, he said, I scripted for a whole year and then it actually happened. I'm like, yeah, but it took you a year because you ignored resistance and detaching and eventually you probably did it automatically, but it took him a year. That is too long. That is not how long manifestations take. When you deliberately manifest, things don't take a year. If they take a year and you do all the steps right, you're hung up somewhere. If you take a year and you don't do the steps right, then you still are hung up somewhere, right? There's always a hang up because manifestations don't take that long. When I manifested my ex back, the last piece of resistance, I resolved it and he showed up in less than 10 days. 10 days! That means you can manifest something that quickly, something big. And the other guys, I manifested 2 other amazing guys in less than 2 weeks. It doesn't take that long. It only takes that long because we're ignoring or forgetting about one of these steps, or because we put more effort into some of the steps, but not the other ones. All of the 4 steps are equally important. You can't just put more effort in one than the other. Yes, technically, we put a little more effort into focus work, and that's normal, but you still want to put almost as much effort into steps 2, 3, and 4 because they're all equally important. There's not one step more important than the other. If you are able to manifest something with just focus work, then you are already in alignment. But if you're not in alignment, then you want to follow these 4 steps because they work. They work. I know. It works for all of my clients. The feedback I've gotten, it worked for me. It worked for the people I taught that were friends. So yeah. And living in the end isn't pretending something, because as soon as you pretend on your 3D, pretending is on the outside. Pretending isn't in here, although it comes from here and then it pushes out. But if you're pretending that you have it, you're either and or in resistance and or attached. So don't pretend. Focus work is the actual step of living in the end. That is it. And eventually it feels more and more true. And the more and more you release resistance and attachment, the less you think about your manifestation naturally. Because when you already have something, you don't think about it that much. How often do I think about my truck? I already have it. I try to remind myself how grateful I am that I have a beautiful truck and a beautiful house that's paid off, because gratitude, I love gratitude. You really want to feel it to be true when you do gratitude. Gratitude helps you stay in alignment. Ta-da! But when you're not in alignment, you think about it because you don't have it. Same with core beliefs. You keep repeating them so much because you don't have it. Or something happens and you constantly think, oh my God, I deserve better. Well, that means you're not deserving. That means you don't think you're deserving. If you constantly say, I deserve better than this, you don't think you're deserving. When you're still repeating something by words or visualizations or thoughts, whatever, you don't have it yet. It is not in place yet. So focus work is there for a reason. It brings up resistance and attachment, and you're supposed to work through all of them. Don't just do affirmation looping. Dial back on the looping and do the other 3 steps, and see how you start feeling. Don't just script. If it's not happening, you're not addressing some of the other steps. And sometimes we're doing steps 2, 3, 4 right, but we're not very good at step 1. Could be either one. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and that's okay. But there are 4 steps in place. They're in the natural and in the deliberate manifesting, and they work the same. And if you follow those, it is very, very possible that you can get what you want. And we want to stick to that. We don't want to stick to it will happen, right? Sometimes I say that because we know manifesting works, but we want to stay away from it will happen. I know it will. Stay away from those. Just put a little bit of uncertainty in there and go, it's possible, but I don't know that it will happen. Because if our belief is too strong, it's step 2, and that can delay things or push them away a little bit. Your manifestation is already there. If by the time you think about it, it's already been created. Somewhere in a parallel reality, it's already been created. You already have it. You don't have to create it anymore. All you got to do is manifest it. Follow the steps and manifest it. That's it. And focus work is the part where you are living in the end, not pretending you're cooking for 2 or pretending you already have that vehicle. That is not it. It's focus work. During focus work is the part where you are living in the end. Manifesting on paper is actually really easy. It's just 4 steps and you got to work through them. It's a fucking recipe. It's like cooking. Just follow the steps. That's it. I hope this helped. I hope you can feel better while manifesting, because manifesting can actually feel good and be fun and not so awful and dreading and then frustrating. I know how it can be. I've tried almost all the techniques out there. So your focus work, how you do it, it doesn't matter. Just what you do with it and the other steps. That's what's important. Have a wonderful day.